What's up, YouTube? First and foremost, shout out to all my subscribers for calling yourselves Alien Army. Man, put the Alien Armies in the comments, hit those like buttons, drop those alien emojis, and let's rock. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I ask that can you please hit the like button and drop a comment, say hi, wave, emoji, alien, let me know that you're rocking with me. It really does push out my content. I'm a very small channel, so those likes and those comments really do help a whole lot, and I know that you guys know that. I just say it to help remind you. So real quick too, shout out to the donations. It's been a while since I got some, but I always do link my my Cash App, the same as my YouTube name, AlienAscend, in my description. If you want to donate me, it would bless me. That'd be cool. If you want me to give you an actual personalized shout out for doing so, put that in the Cash App message. Or if you want me to give you a call and chop it up, just put your phone number in there. Oh, one other quick thing, that Big Brother audition video I did just a couple videos ago. If you guys can, would you please, I don't use Twitter or use X or Instagram or anything like that, but I think Big Brother uses Twitter most of the time. If you guys can actually get the share code on that and share it to them, and help my video get seen for the audition, that would be really awesome. If you do that, could you please let me know as well? Maybe on one of my videos, like you drop a comment and said, hey, that you did that. That'd be really cool. I asked that that several people, it doesn't have to land on one people. I think the more people that actually go and do something like that, the more chances that it actually gets seen. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump straight into the video. I think I'm gonna name this Story Time, My Truck Driver Trainer. Okay, so move that over. So I'm gonna jump in the video. Like I said, I had I'm gonna talk about all my trainers, but I'm one in specific. So my first trainer I ever had was a permit student driver, and didn't like that guy. I talk about I do another video on him. You guys can check that out if you want. But no, didn't like the guy. Things did go bad and sour, and if you watched that video, you would understand why. Then I had trainers when I came back, so now I'm good driving forward. Now I know about OTR, and now it's time for me to study, to pass my CDL, my Class A. So for me to do that is I don't have very much backing experience at the time. Could I straight back? Yeah, that was about it. I did not know how to parallel. I did not know how to do an alley dock. I didn't know how to do blindside parallel. I didn't know offset, and I didn't know blindside offset as well. I also, my straight backs, they weren't the best. So let's say, for example, if I was going to straight back into a parking spot, could do that. But let's say, for example, for the test, you got to, at the time, you had to go more than just through a parking spot. I think it was more than a quarter mile. You got to keep that straight. And then at a particular part at school, there's no lines, but you still got to be going straight. You know what I mean? And I had to learn all that stuff, and I did. And those people were great. So those were kind of my trainers too, because those people were showing me, backing maneuvers, and then I had to go through a rotation of me and everybody else there using the truck, for the backing. And then also I think I went out 2 times for about an hour driving on the highway and then street, local and street. And they're like, wait a minute, you were a permit student driving for almost a month, and you did this on the highway. You're driving great, so let's just concentrate on your backing. And boom, you know what I mean? After I got my license, I did pass my very first time. I was in a class of people that really knew actually what to do. Some of them had CDLs before, some of which had experience actually towing stuff behind them. I had none, man. I had never drove anything bigger than like a small U-Haul truck or a Toyota Tundra. I had no experience at all, so I felt like I didn't know nothing. But I'm in the best place. This is what I want everybody to know. It's okay for you to know nothing. You're there to learn, and as long as you apply yourself and you're eager and you do the best of your abilities, it's going to click. You're going to be okay. You know what I mean? If you're there sitting on your butt and not trying to learn and you don't know anything, or if you get really frustrated where you did something wrong and now you're not going to try anymore, then yeah, they ain't got no time for that stuff. I'm somebody, if I mess up, or I didn't do that setup very well when I was going to back, that actually helped me out in the long run, because out in the real world, you may not have the chance or the opportunity to set yourself up very well for an easy back, or for a backing situation, that you're comfortable with. You're not going to have very much room. You're going to have trucks everywhere. You're going to have yard dogs driving behind you, in front of you. You're going to have, stationary dumpsters that don't belong there, or trash cans that are bolted to the ground that don't belong there, or porta potties in bad areas or poles that are, you know what I'm saying? There's, you know, tons of variables going on here. So, you know, when I used to set up myself really bad, it actually made me better in hindsight, you know, down the road, that, wait a minute, it still doesn't matter, you know, okay, you know, I can't 45 this, but I can 90 it, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, so I was doing 90s when I was being taught 45s, and it wasn't even really, we weren't even taught 45s and 90s. We were taught alley dock, you know, driver's side alley dock, and that's the closest thing to a 45 or a 90. I learned that with my trainer. So I get my license and passed first time, and it was great. I did pull everything, so I actually had to do the full inspection outside. That means trailer, coupling, underneath the engine, and of course in cab. And you know, I pulled the whole sheet, and I aced it. You know what I'm saying? Some people actually, it's a longer process while you're out there. You know, you have to check everything, and you got to go through this whole pre-trip before you even and you got to get, you know, you're able to miss more answers if you pull all of it. However, you're out there longer, so I mean, my test took a long time. Why? Because and there's no time limit that I'm aware of, if I remember correctly. The guy didn't say, hey, you only have 10 minutes for your the engine, or 10 minutes for the coupling, or 10 minutes for the trailer. However, I was out there for a long time, and I was checking it. Not cracked, bent, or broken, and all that good terminology. I know like the back of my hand, and I'm pointing everything out. This is the leaf spring. This is the castle nuts. This is there is no I'm not going to get into it, but I know a bunch of stuff with it, and nonetheless. So I go ahead and do that, right? I do that, and then I can either stay there at the school, and at that point they had us in hotels. However, I could have stayed I don't think they were going to pay for the hotels anymore once you get your license, but you could stay inside the terminal, and they have just a sleeping room, and I believe just like one little jack. No TV, nothing like that. Very small room with like a little cot and like one little jack, maybe for your phone, something like that. And they do have showers there, and their showers were very cold. So let you know, some of them were warm, some of them were cold, and I did utilize those showers. But as long as you were on call, like you're ready at a moment's notice to jump in a trainer's truck, they would pay you. I don't quite remember how much it was. I don't think it was a whole lot. I think it was maybe $500 a week. I mean, $500 a week just waiting for a trainer. There's some people that were waiting, like you can't wait more than a month, if I remember correctly. You can't wait more than a month without, like if you didn't jump in the truck within 30 days, I think they would do technically, which is like a firing. And then you'll have to do orientation all over again. But you have a license, and you got a license from the school, so then you're good. So, that's kind of that. So that's a little bit on the iffy side. Excuse me about me clearing my throat. Been battling this like cough. That's why I'm like this right now. With I feel like I could breathe better without layers of clothes. It is winter. It is the Midwest. It's not like I'm in a hot area all of a sudden. It's actually 30 degrees. However, I crank up my heat really, really high before I do a video, because it feels like I'm like tugging at my stuff, and it's like choking me up here a little bit. But I do this just for my body to breathe, and so that I can actually do my video a little bit better, and feel more comfortable. So I think it was maybe about a week after I get a call. I get two calls, one from a dispatcher, and he tells me that I should expect a phone call from my trainer, and to please call him after I have talked to my trainer. And this is a phone call where we find out if we jive with each other. They're hoping that nobody's being nitpicking, and what to expect while you're on the truck. What does that trainer expect of you, and what do you expect of that trainer? There's people that will say, I'm not going to get on your truck unless you show me how to use snow chains. Okay, I wasn't one of those people. In trucking school, I found out real quick, you put on chains to get out of a situation, but if you never got yourself in that situation, it doesn't really matter. Shut down early and be smart. The best way to make sure that an accident didn't happen was by preventable measures, and so I wasn't tripping on something like that. I did ask him, while I was on there, if he'd show me that, and then he taught me a whole lot, like how to do it in a parked position, like not even like basically do it so that you don't get rid of, but he's never put it on in over 20 years. He's been trained, at that point, my trainer has been training for 3 years with that particular company, but had been driving trucks for over 20 years. I believe he was Air Force. I know he was definitely military for a long time. He was a diesel master mechanic as well. So we'll talk about the phone call I had with him. So he calls me, and I'm talking with him, and he's telling me, he's not just telling me, he's asking questions. He's like, how are you with your lane control? And I was like, and like the information that he got wasn't the full story. So I said, yeah. He was like, oh, you did do permit student driving? You didn't just learn at the school? I was like, no, I did permit student driving as well. I learned the backing maneuvers at the school. And I said, my lane control is really good now. I said, it sucked in the beginning though. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, hey, when you were doing the maneuvers at the school, were you actually learning the how the trailers moved, or were you just following the marks? I said, honestly, I was following the marks, but then my brain would go ahead and think, hey, this is how you manipulate the trailer to move a certain way. And I said, and I did make adjustments, they give me the marks where, okay, at this particular time, like when you're backing up, what you want to do is just turn the wheel this way, and then look for this visible sign at this crack. That's when you probably want to go hard right, and little things like that. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people at that school that all they did was just the marks. They never understood, like, if they weren't lined up perfectly, they weren't going to get it in. You know what I'm saying? Me, because I wasn't setting up so well, I was learning, okay, if I set up wrong, I can still get it in here. And I was starting to grasp the idea of following my wheels, but more than that, it was understanding how to manipulate the trailer to get it in a position for me to get it in, if that makes sense. It wasn't like grand wizardry, or it was something really good. It was just little things. So very much a rookie. And it showed, but I was open-minded, and I kept my eyes open, and I learned those little things, I caught myself learning that, and I thought, okay, this will help me out. But the real training really happens after you get your license, and that's what this dude is for. So he asks about that stuff. I tell him, and he's like, "Are you confident?" And I go, yeah, because I did it, almost 4 weeks. I go, I feel confident, and we talked about, what do you expect? And I go, I want to be taught everything, man. I go, and of course he told me he's been doing this for 20 years. And he's been training for 3, and how all of his students have always been great at everything, and that he's been on a real good streak with that, and that his actual goal is, and this is what he's telling me, and I believe him 100%, his goal is to be the best trainer in the world. What he wants is, he wants to feel safer on the road, and this guy does not do anything half-ass. He wants you to succeed. He will teach you everything. He is going to teach you things that no other trainer would take the time to do. You know what I'm saying? And he's letting me know that, and it's awesome. So we talk about the rules of the truck, and I told him what my rules were. I'm the one who actually brought it up, which is crazy. I'm not entitled. However, there are certain things that I will not get in the truck and do. I said, please do not take God's name in vain. When people say the word GD, it really does offend me. He said, okay. He's like, I actually say that word all the time, but I will make a conscious effort not to. He said, if you can, that would be great. He said that was unusual. He's like, are you a Bible thumper? What's going on? And I go, no. That's a very offensive. I go, you can say any other curse words or whatever words you want. It's not going to affect me. I go, if it's always a curse word, every other word out of your mouth is a curse word. I'm not going to really like it, but it's not the end all be all. I go, but if you say GD, it really does bother me. If you don't know what GD is, the first word is God, and then you can figure out the rest. I don't like that word, and I don't say it. I don't like when people say it around me either. And then I said, I don't want any so in the confines of YouTube, I said, so bear with me, this is the confines. I don't want anybody watching anything spicy on their phone or any spicy stuff. You could probably figure out what I'm talking about. There's no rolling dice. Use the confines of this stuff. I do not want that going on the truck. We're 2 grown-ass men inside of a truck, and nobody needs to do that kind of stuff inside the truck. I don't care what you do outside of it. It's outside of it, just not with me. he let me know that he was 100% on that board, that actually no woman has ever been inside the truck at all, not even his own wife. He's like, yeah, my truck is clean. I don't do that stuff, and I'm really happy to hear it. So he's like, I'm happy that I'm not the one who's asking you, and you're saying this. So he's like, what else? I said, I'm really big on respect. I'm going to treat you with 100% respect. I go, but in the past, there's some words, that somebody can say that will trigger me, and I'm here to learn and stuff like that. But let's keep respect really good, man. Like, if I mess up, you don't need to call me an idiot, son of a gun, blah blah blah. Let me know I messed up and tell me what I can do to fix it. And the insults are not necessary. He's like, oh, I 100% agree, and he was on board with that. There are some words I can't say here that I told him to never say, like, don't ever call me, because that means we're gonna. I like to think that I'm mature enough and smart enough that I can walk away from situations, but there are some words that if they get called to me, it's very hard for me to control my temper. And I don't have a bad temper anymore. I used to a long time ago, but just don't say those words. There's no need, like, I don't need to beat a dead horse over here. Certain words you don't call another man unless you're willing to put your hands up. You understand? So I meet my trainer in person. We arrange, when I'm going to actually meet him at the terminal. And he tells me what time to come over there and everything else, and bring my belongings. But I actually, real quick, when I was talking on the phone, he said that he's like, I don't know how showers are gonna go. He's like, I like to do it every other day. However, sometimes if we can do it every single day, that'd be great. But he's like, it all depends. He's like, you may go a few days. However, utilize the baby wipes, clean yourself up. And he's like, I clean myself up, and by doing that stuff, it really prevents us smelling each other and being hygiene cool. I was okay with every other day showers. He also he gave me some heads up on some stuff to bring. He's like, I think I brought enough for 7 or 8, well, at least a week's worth of underwear and socks. He's like, hey man, those things, he's like, those things get changed every single day, no matter what, even if you don't take a shower. He's like, I need you to, if you can, have at least 10 pairs of socks, 10 pairs of underwear, and if you wear tank tops, you may want to be changing those just as often. So 10 tank tops, 10 underwears, 10 socks, underwear, and tank tops. At the very least. So, and those things don't take a whole lot of room. What takes room is, big long pants, big work boots, several different pairs of shoes. You got slides, you got your sneakers, and you got your boots, all that stuff. So I already knew the minimal stuff. So I want everything in a suitcase, and I got everything in a suitcase, not a huge luggage thing. I kind of want to say it was 2 feet wide and maybe 3 feet tall. And I got my personal hygiene of all my personal hygiene stuff, and I got clothes in there. And then outside of that was literally I had a comforter and I had a sheet, and that was it. And no pillows. If I remember correctly, no pillows. At least I can't remember it if I brought pillows or not. But those were the things that I brought. So real condensed, I can carry my suitcase, and I can carry, my comforter with a sheet with it with no problem. And then me knowing that I'm gonna get on that truck, I went to the store and I did buy a couple bags of groceries, stuff that I knew that I could cook in a microwave, things that I knew that are can friendly and vegetable friendly and fruit friendly. You know what I'm saying? So I meet up with him, and we're talking, and he's like, okay, this is all of, this is what you get inside the truck. You're allowed to put your suitcase on the top of the bunk. Everybody, when we sleep, unless the car's not running, you're on the top, I'm on the bottom. But if I'm driving, you're on the bottom. And I ask that you, you take this sheet here and throw it over there. And I go, well, I have a sheet actually. He's like, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah. He's like, take that sheet, dude, and just throw it over my stuff. He's like, you can have use my pillows, but have the sheet over the pillows so my face isn't touching where his face was, and things like that. We're staying hygienic, to the best of our abilities, and trying to mind each other's privacy. He tells me, he's like, hey, I came off of home time, and then I had to do a bunch of repairs on my truck, and he was a lease operator. He's like, hey, so man, we're gonna be running really. He's like, I always run. He told me on the phone too. He's like, I run hard, so be prepared. And I'm like, okay. And running hard in this industry, if you're not into trucking, we're not running recaps. Recaps is, like running time over. We're running the 10 to 11 hour clock that we're given every single day, and we're doing a thing called a rolling 34, which means that when I run out of time, like probably on the 8th day or 7th day, I guess it all depends. I don't have the ELD in front of me, but basically I'm utilizing all my drive clock every single day. Or if I'm not utilizing my whole drive clock, I'm using my whole work clock, and the work clock is 14 hours. I may, let's say for example, I may be at a shipper being unloaded for 3 hours, and I'm on that part of the clock, and then my drive clock is 11 hours. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into everything. Hold on. Sorry for that interruption. Got a phone call. Probably leave that into this transition. But I was talking about my clocks. So I'm not going to get into all of the clocks and stuff like that. But honestly, it means like running hard is utilizing all your time every single day. And we do a thing called rolling 34s, which means if you're running teams, let's say I'm out of time and whatnot, I chill for 34 hours while he drives for basically a day, and then stops, and then the night. Basically I have 34 hours before I jump back in the driver's spot and roll. You know what I'm saying? So he tells me that it's really important that you guys understand this fact. So he came off of home time, so he took home time. He's a lease operator, so he's got a lot of expensive bills. Basically leasing the truck from the company, right? Insurance and everything else that goes along with it, all his costs, and then on top of which he does not have any time left on his clock. Like when he shows up there, so he came off home time, and then he went ahead and came off of he had some repairs done. Then he ran for a little bit, and then we ran for a little bit. He ran his clock out, and now he's here. So boom, that's the whole story. Shows up there, and then he was talking about his dispatcher wanted to give him what's called a high value load, and that's normally with teams that there's always one person inside the truck, no matter what. So we're protecting the load. You understand? So he's like, and it paid really well, and the miles weren't too long. So he was going back and forth with that, and the space I got was literally, I'm 6 foot. I can go on top of the bed and lay 6 feet, 6 feet, like I could lay all the way down and everything else. And that my suitcase could go up there. I had no cupboard space. I had nothing like that. He did let me put my gloves on the side of the driver's door, or on the outside little door compartment that's underneath that thing. I could put my work gloves there, but he's like, you could bring as much stuff as you want, but you better be comfortable enough to sleep up there if both of us aren't running for whatever reason. So I thankfully, me just having my suitcase like that, I believe I didn't bring any pillows, but that suitcase I could actually like lay my comforter on a little bit, and then wrap myself up like a burrito, and that was kind of like a pillow, and that was my idea. I'm trying to be like, you don't go on somebody's truck with, hey, I'm gonna put this here and this here and this here. Like, no, this is bare essentials. And I knew that I saw people that were taking like 3 or 4 duffel bags worth of stuff, and then on top of it, 2 handfuls of some other stuff going on a truck. And I wasn't like that. I was like suitcase and comforter and a sheet, and then because I know I'm getting on the truck, a couple bags of groceries, and I could stack that on top of my suitcase, my little luggage thing up there. It's no problem. So he's wanting to get this high value load, and he talks to his dispatcher, and he's trying to, and he's worried at this point. He already seemed a little bit nervous. He needs to see me drive. He needs to see how I react, how we get along inside the truck. Do I take advice? Do I listen? What are my skill levels at? Is he comfortable enough to sleep in the back of the bunk while I'm driving? I mean, these are all scary stuff to some, like I'm someone who just got my license. You don't know, and I'm a rookie. He's got to be prepared for stuff, and I can read people very well. So the reading of him was that he was he had a lot of trauma in his life, and he was very he had a lot of walls built up, like a lot of walls. Like, he wanted to be very professional. He wanted to be very good. He wanted to be the best trainer in the world, whether he got a plaque or not. And this is a lot of stuff that he instilled on me. And, you know, what he instilled on me is that I do the right thing when nobody's looking. I've always been that way anyways, but he did you know, he did help support that side, you know. Like, he was you know, he was really good about that stuff. So when he's doing that, he's telling me, he's like, man, I really want this load. So I'm like, hey, I'm here. You know, your dispatch, you know, his dispatcher is my dispatcher, you know. So I walk in there, introduce myself. He comes along with me, but I'm gonna do this on my own, and I'm gonna tell him that, you know, like, if this load is important to my trainer, I want, you know, it's important to me, and I want to get him this high value load. So we talk, and I'm like, listen, I have stamina. I can drive behind the wheel for a very long time. I was running my clock out underneath when I was doing permit student driving. I'm really good at backing, you know. I know that, you know, like, he just came off of home time. He just did repairs. after doing that stuff, he ran for a little bit, and he's out of his clock, and he needs to make up for the time that he had, you know, he took off, and the repairs that he didn't see coming. So I want to help, and I want this load. He's like, you know, he's like, I have my rules. The dispatcher's cool. He's old school. He's old school, and he used to be a truck driver. And unfortunately, the way I feel, when you're a dispatcher that used to drive trucks and you're dispatching now, you're kind of like a cyborg. You forget what it feels like to be in the truck. You forget, you know, everything we have to deal with. You are now, in my opinion, you are now working for the other side, and the other side is basically people that crap on us, and always, you know, it always lands on the driver. Like, you know, if y'all don't make enough money, we get screwed somehow. You know what I'm saying? You know, oh, wait a minute, you can save money on insurance by putting forward-facing cameras. Oh, well, that's invading our privacy, man. We change. We have very private phone calls to our friends and our family, or to our loved ones. Like, we don't want you in our business, and they're like, oh, that actually helps you. In some instances, it does, but the truth is you don't do. You know, it's a business. And I don't take it personal. I understand it's a business, and the business side of it is that you're just trying to cover your ass. And however, I do not want my stuff infringed upon it, and I would like to be with a company that respects that aspect. Like, oh, okay, you don't have to pay insurance as much as you have a forward-facing camera. Okay, cool. I'm going to throw tape over it. I don't want that camera in front of me, and I'm just being honest. So he's like, hey, I don't need you beating up. So he's telling my trainer, he's like, I don't need you beating him up on the first week. He's like, but because he came in here and talked, he's like, let me do a 3-day report. So in 3 days from now, if you think he's ready, and I trust you, and I'm trusting what your student's telling me, you know, and the student, and, you know, like, the dispatcher is like, I have my relationship with your trainer. He's like, I've been his only dispatcher for 3 years at this company. He's like, I'm also your dispatcher. You need to tell me if something goes on. You know, I'm here for you. If you feel unsafe about something, if you're feeling overpressured, if you're feeling overworked, you need to come talk to me. Like, he was very, you know, he's like, don't think that I have such a good relationship with him, and that you tell me something that I'm not going to take your side. He's like, I will not be biased, and I will listen to any and all stuff, which was nice. Never came to that, but that's still nice to say. You know what I'm saying? And I do believe he meant it. You know. So we didn't get that load, and evidently the dude's tired as hell. Get in the truck. We do get a load, and while I'm driving, he's sitting in the passenger seat, and we sitting in the passenger seat. He's like, you know, he's watching me the whole time like a chicken hawk. Now it feels a little bit different to drive when you're being critiqued, and he's not saying anything. He's watching stuff, you know. Yeah, and about 2 hours, like almost 2 hours into it, like the first hour, he's like, you know, this is what he says. I asked, he's like, excuse me. He's like, I ask that you do not go over 60 miles per hour right now. So show me what you got with 60. And this thing only goes 65, so it's not that big of a difference. It's like a 5-mile difference. But he's like asking that I don't take it too fast. It's a commercial vehicle, you know, of course I'm not going to take it fast. It doesn't go fast anyways, and even if it did, I wouldn't push the boundaries. You know, I'm going to drive under my ability so I have a quicker reaction time, and I have very big ability, and I have a very nice reaction time too. It's all that stuff. I'm psychic when I'm driving this stuff. You know, the way I was taught and the way I was trained, and the experience I have. I know when somebody's going to do a merge into a lane without even turning the turn signal on. You know, I see over 15 seconds in front of me, and I know what's immediately in front of me, and I know what's immediately behind me at all times. You know, my eyes are moving around the whole time that I'm driving, and I'm studying the road. I see when, you know, I know that we're going to turn, or I know when the car's pulled over on the shoulder and I need to, you know, move over. You know, if I have time, you know, if I have time and I have the space to move over, I do. You know what I'm saying? So within the first hour, he's like, you know, he's watching, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm going to be honest. He's like, hey, if you want to take it to 65, you can. So I do. I'll take it to 65. I can control it. You know, I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm not white knuckling it and you know, struggling here. I can drive. So and he's like, you know what? I never even told anybody on the very first day or the very first hour that they could take it to 65. He's like, normally that's a week or two from now. And he's like, you know, you're doing really good, man. But don't let me tell you that I'm doing good. You know, make you incoherent, or like, don't let my compliments stutter to you. Like, if I tell you you're doing good now, don't relax. I want you to continue doing what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, cool. So then he's sitting there for another hour, and he's like, normally I don't sleep for the first 24 hours I have a student on here. He's like, however, I'm really tired and you're doing really good, man. You know, I'm gonna go in the back of the bunk and you know, just follow the navigation on the Garmin. He's like, you have experience using Garmin's? I go, never setting points. I go, but I'm used to navigations. I go, before truck driving, have I driven out of state before? You know, have I driven long distances? Kind of, you know, do I know how to listen to a navigation system? Do I know how to look on it and see, you know, I need to go in the left lane or the right lane and things like that? And I basically was like, yeah, I'm good, man. You ain't got to worry. And he's like, please, for any reason, man, if you're unsure about anything at all, wake me up. And he's like, and all you have to do to wake me up is just pull those curtains back. He's like, when those curtains get pulled back, it makes a noise that I know that you need help, and I'll pop right up. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, I'm only gonna sleep for 2 or 3 hours. He goes back there, he sleeps for like 7 or 8 hours, dude. So I've been driving for 2 hours. 8 hours later, I'm 10 hours in my clock, and he's still sleeping. I go ahead and while I'm driving, I grab the back of the blinds, I guess you'd call them, the divider. Excuse me. I go ahead and I pull that back. When I pull it back, I'm like, hey, my drive time's at this, bro. I don't know where I need to pull off to. And it's like, all right. And he gets up, he jumps up there. He's like, dude, I slept so good, man. So that was really, really cool. Like, wait a minute, I had my trainer that felt comfortable, and he's like a steward with everything. He felt comfortable to sleep back there. On top of which, I drove for that long. So the very next day, I forget how it happens, but you know, like, we drive and do whatever. On the third day, he's already calling dispatch. Tell him, you know, hey, we're running teams now, man. This dude is dope, man. This dude can drive, you know, and you know, he's telling him that. And then I have a personal call, and when I have a personal call with dispatch, he's like, I want to ask you to get out of the truck so you're not talking in front of your trainer, so that I know that you're talking 100% honest, and you're not just saying stuff because your trainer hears. So I step out of the truck, and he's like, how do you feel about everything? And I'm like, dude, everything's going great, man, and everything is awesome. And he's like, if I run you as teams, this means that you continue running, to the high caliber you have for the last 3 days. It's like, normally I tell all trainers to not beat up on their students the very first week. He's like, the trainer you're with is known for running really, really hard, and he's really good and stuff like that. He's like, I just want you to not get tired, and I want you to have the stamina to deal with this stuff. I don't want you ever coming back to me telling me that you weren't ready when I give you an opportunity to say that you weren't ready. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, I'm ready, bro. And he's like, cool. He's like, sure though? Yep, absolutely. Let's rock and roll. So we're inside the truck, and I love my trainer, and we're still very dear friends to this day. In fact, I told him I wish he was my father. If you watch some of my other videos, you know, I had a very bad dad. I don't even call him dad. I call him my mom's husband. But he's very guarded, and he's very professional. Where he's like, when you're on this truck and you're my student, I give you all my attention. But when you graduate and you're in your own truck and you're doing your own thing, he's like, I'll still be there on phone calls and stuff like that, but just don't think that it's gonna always be like this. He's like, he's standoffish about stuff, and then just with a little, and I break people's walls down without even trying, and that's exactly what happened. He was not overweight, but he did have a sleep apnea machine. He had a deviated septum, and I had noticed that his water was low. That's what, you know, people notice, stuff like that. I know that his distilled water was low, and he was having a hard time finding distilled water at truck stops. So I actually found some, and I bought it, and I brought it in there. Then there was times where he had no cash, where I went ahead and bought us lunch without him even knowing. Bought him lunch. Like, I'm not kissing his butt or anything like that. This is something I would do with anybody, and we're living in the same confines. As far as I'm concerned, while we're on that truck, you know, this is his home because this is his leased truck. This is what he pays for. However, you know, we are living underneath the same residence, and at that point, we're working as a team. We're even told dispatch we're a team, and you know what I'm saying, and that, like, we're family now, dude. You know, like, forget fast friends. You start living inside of a truck with somebody and whatnot, you're going to become family really quick if everything's vibing right. And it was, you know. And he bought me lunch several times. He's like, normally I don't do this for students, but I'm going to buy you this pizza. And he's like, I buy this as a way to thank you, because last week I made $12,000 net. So in 1 week, and I know that some truckers are like, you know, hey man, I make more than that. I was the most. I made him the most money after all of the expenses, and it was over $12,000 in 1 week time. And that was in the beginning. I did beat that record. I beat every single record that he had with any student. He never had a student that, and we were running reefer, which is refrigerated trailers. I went out there to clean the trailer without even being asked, without even told, without even knowing. I went out there and cleaned it because I had saw on our next load that we had to pick up on, our trailers needed to be cleaned. And instead of going to a trailer washout at a Bluebird or a Beacon or whatever, that those things could take 3 or 4 hours sometimes even longer. Sometimes it's quick. However, I didn't want to deal with that stuff. I'll go out there and I'll clean that shit myself, and I'll get it done 30 minutes, and we'll be good for the load we're picking up. So I go ahead and do that, and he notices it, and he's like, I've never had a student ever do that. And he's like, how clean is it? And I go, it'll pass, man. And he's like, what do you mean it'll pass? I go, we've gone to Blue Beacons and had trailer washouts before. I did a better job than them. So I know that when we pull in there, they're not going to send us away. He's like, well, it's your drive time, so if they tell us that they don't take that trailer, then it's on you. And I go, yeah, I'll eat that. Yeah, but I know that it's going to work out because I did a good job. So I pull up there and boom, and say, wait a minute, so you did clean it good enough. We just got accepted with this trailer. Yeah, of course I did. And there were several times where, like, let's say we got high value loads, like one of our first high value loads. I'm stuck in a situation where I don't have any water, and we're stuck at a secure parking spot, and we have a delivery in the next morning. I have no water. I have some food to eat, but I don't have any water. He's got water, and he said that I could have some of it. You know, it's from a jug, and he drank from it. And he had, you know, but I ain't got no water. And DoorDash or anything like that is not coming out here. We're in the outskirts of New York, you know. And he shared his water with me. I protected him, and I got him the water, the distilled water he needed for his CPAP machine, right? You know, we bought each other lunches, and he taught me so much, man. He taught me how to actually follow my wills. Where he's like, you see how you went hard right? And you don't start adjusting your steering wheel until you see where your tires are at for you to cut in. And I mean, it takes time and it does take experience, but I learned it within a week. And that's a God honest truth, because he was that good. And he told me that, and these aren't, you know, when I'm saying 45s for backing, these, his terminology was calling it an S-turn alley dock, is what he called it, because he's old school. So it's like, yeah, these S-turn alley docks, and then he showed me how to manipulate where if it's going to be a blindside back end, how to maneuver myself so it's not a blind side anymore. Now it's a straight back, or now it's a regular, regular 45. And I call them 45s because I think that's more of a correct way of saying it. It's like 45-degree angle. That's what it is. Like you set yourself up for a 45-degree angle, and then you cut your trailer in. You know what I'm saying? But he taught me how to follow my wills and whatnot, and showed me that, like, this isn't the school where you kept it hard right for 5 seconds and then moved it to the left and blah, blah, blah. No, I watched my wheels and I adjusted. If it needed to go more to the right, I turned left. If I needed it to turn more left, then I turned right. You know what I'm saying? And that's really manipulating the trailer. So I did all that stuff. And it was great. In fact, after being OTR for a very long time, well, I call it a long time. I had to do it for a year, but I went ahead. Otherwise I'd be charged. So, I rolled with the company afterwards. After this trainer, there was a few questions in the beginning. He always answered his phone, and we've been very dear friends. I by the time I got off the truck, I told him, I said, I wish you were my father. And I really would, because I looked up to him like that. And he had no guards anymore. His guards were all the way down. He was just so happy and so proud that I listened to everything. Did we have a couple of arguments on there? Sure. Who doesn't argue? Nothing too bad, though. I'm a very easy person to get along with, and so is he. And we're both alpha males. Like, I'm not going to call you a name that disrespects you. You're not going to disrespect me, And I don't like talking like this on the internet with the disrespect stuff. Like, if somebody said something nasty in my comment, it's not going to bother me. If you're about a foot away from me or 2 or 3 feet away from me and you're saying in a person, yeah, it might bother me, but I'm going to be a mature adult enough to walk away unless you're going to do something about it. If you're going to do something about it, then I guess we're going to find out what happens, However, it's a lose-lose no matter what. If you win, I'm hurt, so I lose. If I win, there's a good chance I'm going to go to jail, or I got to live with knowing that it hurt you, and you probably got a family that loves you very much. So I'd much rather not have any conflict at all. You know what I mean? And the best way to have no conflict is having really good communication, where you tell people what your boundaries are, and you do it in a polite and nice way. If you tell somebody not to call you an idiot, then they shouldn't. If they know that's a trigger word and they do it anyways, I mean, hopefully you're mature enough to walk away, but I understand that things do happen. So I remember the first job I got after being OTR and everything else, and it all worked out good, was the dude asked me to do a 90-degree back, and some people that's very, very difficult. I can do them. I guess it all depends on your skill level. He's like, hey, if you do this 90-degree back, I'll go inside there and tell them to hire you, and stuff like that. He's like, I'll tell them to get you in your own truck, and that you showed me that you know what you're doing. And he actually stood on the line that I'm supposed to do 90, and he's like, I'm not going to jump out of the way, so if you back into me, dude, you back into me. And of course I knew he'd jump out of the way, but I can control the trailer that way. I go ahead and do that, and boom. So like the things that I learned from him, and that it was just so precious and so great, and that it really carried over into to my skill set. He gave me everything he had to teach me everything he knew in that amount of time, and that he watched after me, and he protected me, and I protected him, and I watched after him. If he was so concerned about money and making it and whatnot, that he had a hard time going to sleep with some students, he never had to worry. I mean, there was compliments. He's like, I never have to worry about you ever texting or messing with your phone. I left my phone in the back when I drove. That's how serious I took it all. He's like, yeah, you leave your phone back there. And I only had, I've always had just one phone. He's like, you leave your phone back there, man. He's like, so I know you're not texting. Yeah, of course not. I know that it put you at ease, man. It's no big deal. I'll talk to my family and my friends when I actually am not driving. I don't need to look at those messages, So basically, I'm going to end it here. I may do another video about this where I go into other details later on, but just want to thank you for thank you for rocking with me. If you can, please put comments, subscribe, and then I would also ask that that Big Brother audition video, like I said in the beginning, to go ahead and actually please take that on Twitter, and take the share option on my video, share it to them, and put Big Brother, you know, put down that you support me, put down that you rock with me. Say, I would love to see AlienAscend on this show. That would mean so much. Even if I don't get called on it, letting my video get in front of the people who make the decisions would mean a lot. And I believe that you guys have the power and the strength to go ahead and do that, because we're Alien Army in here, you know what I mean? If you want to bless me, my Cash App is the same as my YouTube name, AlienAscend. Link will be in the description, and I want to thank you so much.